Howdy, howdy. Welcome to another episode of FitFam. Today, we're going to learn about how to get rid of pain. And the thing that I learned that affected my life the most when I was in severe pain and wanting to get out of it, that one principle, and how it's just affected everything since then. Pretty cool.
Pain elimination sounds good to me.
As always, this is Miss Natural Olympia Hilary.
And Mrs. Doug, the Formulator.
And we had a great weekend.
We did have a good weekend.
We took a lot of our staff, family, friends, and we went to what was they called it the last dance. It was the 10th annual, what they call funnel hacking marketing, but it's basically the top marketers in the world and the systems and that, put on by the great Russell Brunson.
Yeah.
And his crew. And it was really, really neat.
Yeah, it was really great because not only did you get to learn applicable things for your business and how to grow and sell, it also brought together a bunch of great thought leaders. And so that was really great for myself, especially.
That was cool. So like Tony Robbins, he was off the chain.
So good.
It was so good.
Yeah.
Your favorite, Myron Golden, kind of cool.
Amazing. I stalked him after. Just saw him at lunch and just zoomed in with my phone.
And we're hoping to be working with him real soon too. So
yeah, I got to meet him. That was really exciting.
And so from this conference, they were talking about what are you doing to help move people from pain? And then they went to all the marketing stuff, but it really stuck with us as we're talking about it, is that even more, instead of like focusing on, leading people to pleasure, leading them from pain. And it really brought me back to the beginning of this whole journey in the health world. And there were some crazy takeaways too from you. Besides that one was for mine. What was your main takeaway?
Yeah, I think outside of pain is just that we find the direction of our lives in the consistency and the patterns that we're living. And so if we want to change something about our lives, we need to look at what we're consistently doing and or the patterns that we've stacked on top of each other. And if we can recognize patterns, then we can either stop the pattern or we can build on that pattern. And I thought that was really great. And then building off of consistency, I really liked the concept of what do I see that our staff, that our friends, that our family, that we as a couple, what are we all really great at? And there's a number of things, but what one thing could we talk about that would be impactful that I feel like we've all kind of gotten the pattern and the consistency of? And I think that's digestion.
Yeah,
and it's
absolutely.
Everybody's great at taking their digestion when we go sit down for meals. And I love that when we're all together and we sit down, someone at the table will ask someone else, did you bring the digestion?
Digestible,
yeah.
And they break out their pouch, right? And what's funny about that is your takeaway from the weekend, the consistency, the patterns, and basically how to change your state, that you don't have to go through hours and days to change your state, or today's a bad day because of this, or this time's a bad time for this. That's just the way it's going to be, that you can change your state at any moment in time. And it's about really working on, as Dr. Hardy even said, your future self, and being grateful in the moment. And when we truly look at how grateful we are, it's really blessed we are. It's really tough to be in a bad mood because there's a lot to be grateful for no matter what. But both those takeaways really leads to digestion, because digestion and being able to break down our foods was the area that I was led to back when I had an accident. So back in 1989, when I fell off some scaffolding and smashed L4, L5 vertebrae in my back, it started this journey of wanting to get out of pain, obviously, but then seeing, gosh, how can we help others? And the medical doctors, the surgeons, the chiropractors, the nutritionists, all these people, and looking for answers and really trying to decide what is the most important thing and what's the thing I can focus on the most that's going to accentuate the most change, get me out of pain the fastest, but also help to heal the body, not just get out of pain, because there was drugs to get out of pain, but how can we heal the body? How can we move forward the most? And it led to digestion. It led to man, if we digest our food, and we'll get into it, it takes away that pain. But with the stories, I had just read Think and Grow Rich, And so it's like, okay, I need to find the smartest people in the world because I don't know much about this. And started looking, and the smartest person in the world's eating expert, was named Dr. Edward Howell. He wrote the book Enzyme Nutrition. He was by far the leading expert in helping people to, digest food and deliver nutrients. And I looked for him, and he just died. And I'm like, great. But he had a protege, as they must stand by him, a great organic chemist. And so I went to him and studied under him. And that created this lifelong passion towards digestion. But what it was is the understanding that if we can get the body to digest the food properly, then it takes stress off the body because the body isn't fighting to digest food, which makes you tired. Thanksgiving, right? We Thanksgiving meal, we get tired because we eat so much food, our body's trying to digest it.
I don't know why you did this to me. Thanksgiving. Do I eat a lot at Thanksgiving?
No, just because like we've used that example.
I eat a lot at
And,
Thanksgiving.
but at Thanksgiving, like we all know that, and we talk about it, that you eat all that food and you get tired because your body's trying to digest the food, and your body will digest the food no matter what, and it'll take energy away from the whole body to digest it. But not just the digestion of food that it takes energy to digest it. So if it's more easily digested, we are able to have more energy, but also digesting these undigested foods in the body that cause disease, and that gets rid of pain and it allows the body to heal faster. So we don't take away energy immediately if we digest our food, and if we keep adding in the things to digest our food later, it helps to break up these things that can cause disease. And so that's just kind of the big picture, and we'll get into it a little bit more. But it was
Because
like,
all disease is what? One or what? It's either this or it's that. What is it?
what?
You always say it.
I don't know.
I don't know. What is it?
Well, it's either a deficiency
Right.
or toxicity,
Okay.
right?
So really, when we get down to it, what we're ingesting and how we digest it can fix both of the issues, right?
Absolutely. We're not taking in the right food, or not or digesting the right food. So the food we put in our body and the digestion of it are the key components. And understanding that can lead to any discussion. Like when we're meeting with people and they say, I have arthritis, or I have heart disease, or liver, fatty liver disease, or diabetes, and all that, come back to taking in the right foods and digesting them. And the high majority, we're talking well over 90% of all conditions, can be cured, not just like covered up, but cured by digesting our food. And so it was really cool this weekend I'm a little scattered, but the concept of this weekend being like, get back to your core, what's most important, help people get out of pain and really serve them. It's like, man, it does come back to, we both are like this light bulb, that it does come down to helping people digest their food, take in the right food and help digest their food.
Yep. And what's better than a demonstration to prove it?
Let's do it. And so the immediate pain that digesting food helps us with, I mean, a lot of people talk about it.
Yeah.
Like they get gas.
Yeah, let's kind of talk about that before we go into the demo, because when we're talking about digestion, what is the main component of digestion? Enzymes, correct?
Enzymes.
Right. So mainly we're talking about enzymes right now, and different enzymes digest different foods. But what's interesting is when people have discomfort from undigested foods, they go to things like Tums, right?
Acids,
and acids. And what's wild about that is while it might stop the pain of indigestion, it isn't solving the problem of indigestion. In fact, it's creating more and worse problems.
Absolutely. And that's a really good point, because it's like you want to lead people away from pain. But what wasn't talked about in the conference was, okay, you can lead people from pain, the things that actually can harm them in the long run. I think that's right. What you're getting to is, if you digest your food, there's no pain. If you don't digest your food, there's pain, and there's two ways to get rid of it. You mentioned antacids, which basically antacids neutralize the acids so that the enzymes don't digest the food, right? Takes away the pain. or acid blockers like Peptidases and that completely eliminate the acid. Either way, you're stopping digestion. Well, it gets rid of pain, but you're not getting the nutrients delivered, so you actually can end up getting sicker.
Right.
Or finish digestion, and that's what we're looking at doing. And that's also why raw foods.
Right. So either your foods contain the enzymes that they need to be digested, or if they are cooked and processed, you need to add back the enzymes to help them be digested. So, the more raw food that we eat, a nice big salad, for myself some protein on it. Sometimes not all the time. But then, you're getting the majority of your food is being digested on its own through proper chewing. And your body doesn't have the strain of getting digestion done on its own. So
that's it. And that's really a great answer, because when people say, oh, you just want to sell me or tell me to go out and buy enzymes and things like that. No, what we're telling you to do is eat more raw food and chew that food, like Grandma said, better. Chew the food. That releases the enzymes in the food that takes away pain by digesting it and delivering the nutrients on the cell level. Cooking food over 118 degrees makes it so that the food no longer has the enzymes, which causes indigestion and pain. So Hilary's taking this pudding that represents any cooked food. It could be healthy food.
Right.
It could be like oatmeal, things like that, right?
Right.
And in this case, it's unhealthy, being the pudding. And she put an enzyme on one side representing raw food, or taking your enzymes when you eat cooked or processed food. And she's stirring it up because the body has a stirring system itself called peristalsis. And it's your wave-like motion of the stomach. And so one of the main reasons you should do crunches and ab work and all that isn't just to get a six-pack abs. It's actually more important to be able to digest your food and have that churning action, the peristaltic motion. So both sides, so both these people, so let's say Hilary ate raw food or took the enzymes, and then I didn't, then on that side, I still churned the food. I still had my abdominals and the peristaltic action happen. So we're being fair about it. But only one person had either the raw food or added the enzymes back when they ate the cooked and processed food. So I'll take these away from you.
Okay.
So which one is which?
Okay. So this side, the left side.
This side?
Yep. Is the cooked food that has the enzymes added back. This one is the cooked food that does not have the enzymes added back.
Okay, let's see what happens.
You ready for this? You ready for this?
Crazy. So,
boom.
Try this at home. You hear that? Don't try it. Try this at home. The only good use for pudding. And it's just amazing because it digests it and delivers it. And you're like, I had one person, not more than one, they're like, oh, that means I'm going to get diarrhea.
Yeah, way more than one person saying.
And like, no, it's the opposite of that, actually. Is that when you don't digest your food, your body's forcing to try to get things out and either get constipated or diarrhea. When you digest your food, then the body delivers the nutrients and everything flows better in the system, and you're able to get out of pain. And I think that's really the concept that we're trying to share, is there's two ways to get out of pain in this world, in anything in life. And I'm talking about nutrition right now, but it's one is you can find a way to get out of pain that is the right way, that will lead to less pain, better health, better life. And one's you get rid of pain and it's a cover up, it's a masking. You're not going after the cause, right? We avoided conversation. We got rid of pain, but we're not addressing the situation, dealing with the problem. And so this is our way to explain it as a metaphor for everything in life, but for nutrition especially, is yes, what you take in your body is critical. We're really big on nutrition from the food standpoint, but just as important is making sure that food's digested and it takes you out of pain. Gas, bloating, indigestion pain in the moment, and disease pain in the long run.
There you go. Yeah, and I think what's wonderful about Digestamil, unlike some other supplements that we utilize, is that it's almost an immediate relief for a lot of people that suffer with indigestion. So, I think it's one of those no-brainers. It's just a habit. Once you created the habit to take it when you eat, problem solved.
Absolutely. And so what I like to do is to share with people when we do our conferences and that with the doctors, to have them understand that it's not about, oh, go buy this supplement. We want to teach them so that they'll go out and look for what they need. And if it ends up being something that we make, great, but at least more important, they have the education. So let's go through that really quickly.
Yeah, so different enzymes digest different foods. Digestamil is an all-encompassing enzyme product. So it's made for your overall diet to be able to break down all of the different foods that you eat. So let's get into it. What digests protein?
So the enzyme that digests protein is called protease. And a protease digests protein, but it only breaks protein down into something called peptides. And if we don't break the peptides down, then we can have major conditions in the body like gout, things like that.
Okay.
And so we need the enzyme peptidase. So to break down protein, we need protease and peptidase, and that breaks protein all the way down to amino acids. And that's what the body utilizes is amino acids. The body doesn't use protein, it uses amino acids.
If I'm somebody that doesn't break down protein naturally very well, what are some of the diseases I could potentially get? Gout. What are we talking about?
Yeah, so immediately you're going to get slower blood flow, blood sludge, and high hematocrit, things like that. But it leads to diseases. Most of them are arthritic, in nature. In other words, it's causing these issues. Uric acid, if it's a purines and protein, so you get, rheumatoid arthritis or gout, things like that. But one of the biggest problems nowadays compared to, we didn't talk much about it 15, 20 years ago, is blood flow. It's a lot of what causes the thick blood are proteins in the blood. Thus, COVID was a virus, protein. The vax is a virus, protein. And that's why a lot of people have problems with vaccinations and the COVID and all that. And rightfully so, by the way, like 100%. That it's causing blood sludge. And if you have blood sludge, and your heart is trying to beat and push the blood through and it's already sludgy, and then you have stress which causes the blood to basically sludge up even more, it could be too much, and that leads to myocardial infarction, heart disease, and that. So you want to have the blood flow smooth as much as possible so that if you do have something stressful happen and you do think that might
or you do get COVID or you do get some sickness,
that it won't kill you. Right.
Okay.
So that's protein.
So there's protein. We also within Digestamil have enzymes for carbohydrates.
And so the main one is amylase, and amylase digests amylose or carbohydrate, but then it breaks it down to a disaccharide. And the disaccharide you need enzymes for. Most of us know the disaccharide lactose, right? So you need lactase. There's something called maltose. And if you remember, you used to go make milkshakes and they'd ask you, do you want a malt or not? A malt shake. And they'd pour maltose in it. And so you need maltase. And then you heard sucrose, you need sucralase, or invertase is another word for it. The point being is that it takes a lot of enzymes to break carbohydrates down.
Right.
And when you're looking at a formula and it just says amylase, that's only going to get it to a disaccharide. Like it could cause lactose problems and things like that. You need to make sure all the enzymes are needed to break protein to amino acids and carbs down to glucose.
Okay, so if we're not breaking our carbohydrates down into glucose, what are we looking at?
Well, the obvious one right off the bat is blood sugar issues, right? But also with amylase is allergens. Because if you think about allergens, grass, things like that, right? Your body's not breaking those down. How come some people sneeze and pollens and then others don't? Those are actually carbohydrates. And so a lot of food allergens come from the non-digestion of carbohydrates, and you start digesting them, and a lot of times people are fine. And I just got an email this morning from a guy that says, "Oh, I wasn't sure I could take the product because I noticed it had all these, fruits and vegetables in one of the products." And he said, "But I'm taking it and I'm fine." I'm like, "Yeah, because we pre-digested them with enzymes. Is you're not allergic to that food. Let's even say gluten. You're not allergic to gluten. You have an ability to digest it. If you digested it down, you'd be fine. So it's a digestion issue. So that's carbohydrates.
Carbohydrates. And then we go into fats.
Fats has one enzyme, but it takes a bunch of other components and minerals to make it work. Fat, the French word lipose, you need the enzyme lipase for it, but it takes a lot of calcium and other things to make it work. And so those are the main enzymes. Lipase for the fats, right? The carbohydrates, amylase, invertase, maltase, lactase, and then protein, protease, and peptidase. But what we've learned, and as you know, over the years, we keep tweaking the formula
Right.
because they keep making foods harder to digest. We have these genetically modified foods, and really, genetic modification, for the most part, makes it really hard to break down so that they, like with gluten and wheat and barley and that, so that they could actually get more of a yield without it being destroyed.
Right.
And with everything going on, whether it's nature or pests or anything like that, but it makes it extremely hard to break down the system. Same thing with dairy, with lactose, is we have this modified, genetically modified or highly processed dairy. And so we've had to come in to add more of those enzymes that break down gluten, lactose, phytic acid, and oatmeal. We've added higher amounts of those in there just because
Yeah, our food is changing.
our food is changing. That's really the key.
Yeah. So we've talked about kind of the importance of digestive meal and all of the different foods that it can help break down. But there's another level, and we've come out with a product recently because we're building up toxins and issues in the body that aren't just food related. We're running into issues with chemicals like
Phthalates,
plastics.
plastics.
Right.
And that's really an amazing breakthrough because when I first started studying enzymes and that, okay, eat healthier, digest your food, and that does solve the majority of problems in the world. If you eat healthier and make sure that food's digested, like the majority, and we're in good shape. But then I'm like, wait a second, we can actually go to an extreme on some of these enzymes and really help people, like, for inflammation, since it's blood sludge and all that, we can give people high amounts of protease in that to be able to, as an anti-inflammatory and replace all the stupid ibuprofens and Tylenols out there, and go that direction. And then all of a sudden, wait a second, there's chemicals that enter our body that the body, if it neutralizes them, digests them, it gets them out and it won't affect you. But other people that can't digest those chemicals, or over time it's just too much,
Right.
then they get all these diseases in that. And we start spraying our foods with the glyphosates, and the chemicals and the burdens. And then the big one being the plastics that you mentioned, is that now all of a sudden we're eating everything from plastics. We're consuming them all over. They're actually put into most processed foods. A lot of people understand that. Our foods, our Twinkies, our things, the reason they can stay there for months and months and months is they have plastics in them.
Right.
And it's causing huge problems with their endocrine system. And all we did was apply the same thing.
All we did was formulate another product. No, yeah. And we've had, what's wild about Chemzyme is that it has produced some massive results in a short amount of time.
Absolutely. And so basically, Chemzyme is a formula that contains a lot of the enzymes to help with gluten and those things that are really, we need extra help with, but some very specific enzymes. One specific that we help develop from a lactobacillus bacteria, a probiotic that digests phthalates. Phthalates, think of plastics, phthalates. And that's what it does. And we knew it would work because we're like, oh, here's the research, it'll digest it. But we were blown away.
We were blown away. Yeah. So, have we gotten permission to talk about? Okay. So, Skylar, who works in our office and is
IT master,
but not just IT master, health master, really in control of his health and fitness diet. And however, we all took plastic tests, and his plastic test ended up being through the roof.
463, and it's supposed to be below 30. Most people are averaging about 60, just because of our lifestyle. But understand, we were expecting him to be nothing.
Right, right. And just because of his lifestyle, he's vegan,
raw food.
He runs every day. He's,
water, push-ups.
Gets the right amount of sleep. Water, but also something that he didn't realize was that he was storing a lot of his food in plastic containers.
Old plastic
containers.
Old Tupperware. And so he had a number of 463. And the only thing he did different, since his life is so...
He has a
methodical.
Very strict... He has a very strict...
Very consistent.
Regimen? Yeah.
Yep. That he added the Chemzyme, and we just got the test back 2 days ago. And it went from 463 to 13.
Wild.
Wild. And so we know we can digest, just like you'd mentioned, that if you have digestion problems, indigestion, gas, bloating, pain from, eating certain foods and stuff, you immediately get a benefit when you take Digestamil with the foods. It's a little different if we say, hey, take this special enzyme and it's going to digest these phthalates chemicals. It can take months for your testosterone level to come back in estrogen balance because they're endocrine disruptors, these plastics, and you might not feel it right away. It's like, dang, what do we do?
Yeah.
Because you want people to feel, you want them out of pain immediately,
Right.
and that helps you keep consistent. And so this test that is sent to the Netherlands, it's not like, like a little test somewhere. You actually take it and send it off to the Netherlands and then it comes back and we do it. Now we're able to see that and say, wow, yes, we know that it works. We have proof that it works. And so the key is enzymes are one of the main things in life to help get you out of pain and get you out of pain in a positive way that truly leads to true health, true happiness. You're not covering it up like with antacids and drugs and things like that, just like not having those hard conversations or things like that. And so it's an interesting analogy. Hope it works.
I think it does. Take your Digestamil.
So take your Digestamil anytime you eat cooked and processed food. And truly, if you're one of those people that should, like you're like, hey, I don't believe something unless I prove it, and rightfully so in our world, there's so much scams and things in the nutrition world, that I'd recommend getting a plastic test. Don't take Chemzyme yet. Don't take it. Order the plastic test. Do it, and then take Chemzyme for 30, 40 days, and then redo it if you need that. Or you can take a look at the results we've got, and then just start taking Chemzyme, and still do the plastic test sometimes just to see where you're at. But a huge way to get out of pain and be able to create optimal health. And in my case, back to the beginning, when I was injured, the key for me was, yeah, I want to be out of pain. But even more important is I wasn't as worried so much about the pain as I wanted to heal. I wanted to walk again. I wanted be able to just live life.
And quickly.
Yeah, a little obsessed with that. But that no matter what, I wanted to get there. And the true answer was holistic, right? The mindset was huge, and nutrition and the rehab and all of that. But I think the number one key that allowed me to get back when over time those nerves and that might have been, damaged too long was digestion, eating the right food and digesting the food with enzymes that kept the inflammation down, delivered the nutrients, helped me get out of a lot of pain that I realized was just pressure, that was coming from the foods not being digested, and the body was hurt. And being able to then just start that process. And I was able to heal at a very, very fast level because we didn't have the body have the burden of digesting food. And as long as you're putting in the right food, then you're in good shape. So I think that the key takeaway was really crazy for this weekend was, man, help people get out of pain. Well, really, that's the thing that started this whole journey for me and the thing in our family that I think we're most known for. Like people always say, like you said, even this weekend, you have any Digestamil with you and that because they're eating and they want to be able to not have pain and be able to have it work. So, just in finishing up, how does digestion, like with enzymes and that, but just digestion your food, why is it important and how is it important in your world as a professional bodybuilder?
Yeah, I think with bodybuilding, when we're, so many things are based on aesthetics when you step on stage. Just being able to, deal with bloat is a really big issue. But even more than that is, we're trying to consume a decent amount of protein because we're trying to build muscle. And so a lot of people will, consume more and more protein and deal with more and more bloating when it's not the more protein consumed that will help to build muscle. It's the more protein that you ingest that's broken down and utilized that will create more muscle. And so, being able to digest and break down the different proteins that we consume for me is really kind of a hack, to be honest, I think, because number one, I'm not dealing with some of the side effects of eating a lot of protein, which is indigestion and bloating and gas. But number two, I am getting far more use and work out of my protein that I'm consuming because it's being broken down and delivered to the muscles that need it than somebody that might not take enzymes.
So if any of you are into fitness and health and want to build muscle at all, what Hilary just said is absolutely positively the secret hack. It is everything, because it isn't about the amount of protein, as you mentioned, it's the amount of protein that's delivered to the muscles, amino acids. And we'll see if we can put up in the comments here a picture, but there was a study done with whey protein, 50 grams of whey protein. So if Hilary took 50 grams of whey protein, like your favorite protein shake, and I took 50 grams, we'd measure our blood and would have much of that protein in the bloodstream as amino acids, right? Protein gets broken down to amino acids. And then if we took 50 grams of a protein and then took the enzymes with it. Hilary took the enzymes. I didn't. I would show the same amount of amino acids in the blood as when I took the protein before, but Hilary would have 3 times the amount of amino acids from the same amount of protein. So I took 50 grams of whey. She took 50 grams of whey. We both ate a chicken breast, and she had 3 times the amount of amino acids in the blood from the same calories, okay, from the same food. That lets you be anabolic. That lets you have health. And not only do you have better health, and Hilary can build more muscle than me because she has all those amino acids, I've got to deal with that undigested protein. And one of the markers in the test that blew my mind was something called C-reactive protein. She had more amino acids in her blood, right, because she digested it. So she got more anabolism, being able to build more muscle, be able to reduce body fat faster, and she had less inflammation, right, than me taking 50 grams of whey. If I was the one without the taking the enzymes, I had a higher inflammatory marker called C-reactive protein. And so it's really about how well you digest your food and not so much just the food itself. And that is a huge hack. I mean,
Huge hack.
being able to consume the same amount of food and get more benefit for cellular health, muscle recovery, and all that. Man, hope everyone could really understand the power of what you just said. That was really good.
Well, thanks.
So for this week, the takeaway is really you want to eliminate pain, and you want to eliminate pain in the world of nutrition. Eat more raw foods. One, when you don't, take digest meal with the food to be able to break it down so your body doesn't have the burden of digesting food, and you're also eliminating the risk of disease. And would recommend taking something like Chemzyme to eliminate the toxins that we have in the world today that's just hard to get away from, right?
Yeah, and for sure have your digestive meal on you when you are eating those treat foods, because you will feel far better and far less inflamed.
As always, this is Miss Natural Olympia Hilary.
And this guy right here is Doug the Formulator.
Keep chewing.